All right, guys, welcome back to a wonderful episode. This one is another one on the Netherlands. This one is actually a priority request, which I do have a link in the description section down below. If you want to make sure your request gets done for sure, donate to the channel, support the channel, right? So I will take also just regular requests. You don't have to pay me, but I can't guarantee that I will get around to it. My list is like a mile long, right? I have immense amount of people requesting stuff. I cannot physically sort through every single one. So I just kind of pick out the ones that looks intriguing to me. But if you want to be moved right to the top of the list, priority, donate, support to the channel, as this video was requested by a priority suggestion, sorry. So anyways, the insane Dutch plan to dam the North Sea, right? Evidently, this is pretty crazy. It's supposed to be like a lot of money. They're going to dam the whole North Sea to make their countries bigger and stuff. I don't know. So let's get into it and see what this is all about, guys. And as always, the link to the original video will be in the description section down below, and go check out their channel.
Of Skillshare Premium. The ocean is getting higher. You might be someone who wants to debate the cause, but there's no denying that the world's sea levels are getting higher. Since 1900, the global sea level has risen by as much as 21 centimeters, and since
Since when?
1900, the global sea level has risen by as much as 121
years.
And since just 1993, it's risen by 7.5 centimeters. And many scientists expect that that rate of rise is going to accelerate across the course of the 21st century.
Exponential growth.
Where at the end, in 2100, we might see a rise by as much as 2.7 meters from what we see today.
Wow.
That might not seem like very much, but
yeah, but considering like half of the Netherlands is underwater, wow, that's scary. That's scary to think about.
The results of that would be catastrophic for countries across the world.
Yeah.
And perhaps nowhere would end up getting slammed as hard by Poseidon's wrath as the Netherlands.
Yep. And Florida would probably be gone too. I think Florida would just be, half of it would be underwater as well. Louisiana would be gone. Man. That's crazy.
Which is uniquely vulnerable to rising sea levels and always has been. In 325 BCE, the ancient Greek geographer Pytheas said of the Netherlands as he was passing through it that more people here died in the struggle against water than in the struggle against men. Roughly 1/3 of the land in the Netherlands is located beneath sea level, and 2/3 of her land is considered to be extremely vulnerable to flooding. And as a result, the Dutch have been fighting a war against the ocean that threatens them for centuries. And in the past, they've come up with some pretty ingenious solutions to fight against their water problem. They've constructed dikes, dams, floodgates, canals, pumping stations.
Pretty sure that the Netherlands, Dutch people also helped Louisiana with the whole Katrina situation, because they are very knowledgeable about the subject. I mean, they spent their entire lives fighting the water.
Against their water problem. They've constructed dikes, dams, floodgates, canals, pumping stations, and more, all in their effort to push the sea back. In 1933, the Netherlands completed construction of the Afsluitdijk Dam, which separated this historical body of water known as the Zuiderzee from the North Sea. Over time, the Zuiderzee became a freshwater lake, and the Dutch even managed to drain some of it out to reveal new lands for settlement. This new land that the Dutch managed to dig up from beneath the waves is roughly twice the size of Singapore, and is today home to over 400,000 people who now call it home. Without this complicated system that the Dutch have built over the centuries, the Netherlands would naturally look like this today, and millions of people and buildings would all be underwater. But the ocean has not entered into its final form yet, and the biggest challenge that the Netherlands may face from it is still ahead. The current system that the Dutch have built is up to the standard that a single flood can be expected in the west of the country about once every 10,000 years, and in the rest of the country that's less inhabited about once every 4,000 years. But the current system is not built according to the worst-case projections for sea level rise by the end of the 21st century. If sea levels do in fact end up rising up to 2.7 meters higher than what they are today, this is what the area around the Netherlands will end up looking like. Nearly half of the country is going to be underwater, including her most major and important cities like
England
Amsterdam,
too,
Rotterdam, The Hague, and Utrecht. Belgium, Germany, Denmark, France, and England will all suffer significant parts of their coastlines going beneath the waves as well. So in the event that this ends up happening, only a very radical solution could push the ocean back. And what better people to come up with that radical solution than the Dutch, who have been fighting this very war for centuries.
You guys are pros, man. Anybody has any water issues, go ask the Dutch.
Enter the proposal made by a Dutch scientist and his German colleague, dubbed the Northern European Enclosure Dam, or NEED for short. The proposal calls for the construction of a series of colossal dams around the perimeter of the North Sea and the English Channel in order to block the rising sea levels from getting inside and threatening Northern Europe. The shorter of these sections would be built across the channel from Cornwall in England over to Brittany in France, a distance of 161 kilometers across an average depth of roughly 85 meters. Of course, to simplify the engineering challenges and resources required, the dam could be constructed further back in the channel across the significantly more narrow Strait of Dover. But then, it'd be leaving all of the land in southern England and northern France vulnerable to the wrathful ocean's waves.
Yeah, don't leave them out.
The northern part of the structure would be a collection of island-hopping dams that originates in mainland Scotland and stretches from there out to the Orkney Islands, and then from there over to the Shetland Islands, and then finally from there, it would stretch out 331 kilometers.
So why is that random one in the Shetland Islands right there then? It doesn't seem like that one's even needed. Maybe I'm missing something.
Across the open ocean to western Norway. This final section would of course be
How's
the
it a
most
final
challenging
section? There's a gap right there. I can see it. Right through there.
Ocean to western Norway. This final section would of course be the most challenging to accomplish from an engineering perspective, particularly because the depth across most of it is well over 100 meters. And once the dam approaches Norway, the depth dramatically increases to well beyond 300 meters in some places.
Oh, wow.
To make matters even worse, the finishing point for the dam here in western Norway isn't really connected to the Norwegian mainland. It's on an island called Sotra, so another small series of dams would have to be constructed from here over to the Norwegian mainland somewhere in order to completely enclose Northern Europe from the rising ocean outside. The paper's authors claim that the total cost for this entire project would be somewhere between the range of 200 billion and 500 billion euros. But they also note that that would be less than 0.1%.
Not even as bad as I thought. I thought they were going to say trillions. I mean, it's still a lot of money, but
100 billion euros. But they also note that that would be less than 0.1% of all the country's GDPs within the dam who would have their coastlines devastated if they chose to do nothing instead. If the NEED ever does hypothetically get built in the future, it will give the countries around the North Sea the ability to do something very interesting. They could begin to artificially control the sea level inside of the dam.
So they're going to suck the water out of there and just make Norway and like England and Netherlands like connect it all, suck all the water out, and that'd be cool. I mean, a lot of extra land there.
Which means that if they lowered it, they could begin to reveal lands that have been lost to humanity for thousands of years.
Thousands of years.
As recently as just 8,000 years ago, the British Islands were actually the British Peninsula, because a huge piece of land existed where there's now only water between it and Europe. This land is known today as Doggerland, and roughly 8,000 years ago, rising sea levels flooded this low elevated land and submerged it, which separated the higher hills of Britain from the European mainland. If the NEED was constructed though, the countries around the North Sea could begin to drain water out and reveal as much of this ancient land as they want for modern settlement and colonization, which might actually be vitally important good land to resettle the millions of expected climate refugees from other less fortunate.
You can make a whole new country right there. Wow. That's crazy. That's mind-blowing right there. I mean, that's massive. I mean, look at that. You could probably put Ireland in there like 4, 5, 6 times.
Land to resettle the millions of expected climate refugees from other less fortunate parts of the world on. The Netherlands could expand to become a super Netherlands who doubles, triples, or even quadruples her current land size.
Yeah. Netherlands are the ones that's like, they're like the masters of the water. So like, they're the ones that's going to take charge and build these dams. Then hell yeah, give that land to them. Let the Netherlands grow.
But the geopolitical consequences of constructing the NEED and draining the water inside should bear some dire mention. First of all, the absolute shock of connecting Britain with Europe via land would almost certainly deal a huge psychological blow to a lot of people. Britain's whole identity is so wrapped up into being an island and being separated from the rest of Europe. So actually being connected by a piece of land to the European Union and the European continent that people and vehicles could just move freely across back and forth.
Well, they can. I mean, there's a river, or there's a what is it, between France and England, I believe, in that strait right there. I think there's a big ass bridge, if I'm not mistaken.
The European continent that people and vehicles could just move freely across back and forth that couldn't be protected or defended by the Royal Navy would certainly be a problem to a lot of people, I'm sure. I also cannot possibly imagine a scenario in which Russia would be happy that their Baltic Sea fleet and ports would be trapped within what's essentially a big bathtub. As I've said many times in many videos in the past, Russia's entire identity has been based around overcoming being effectively landlocked, and their ports on the Baltic Sea are one of their only paths to trade and naval expansion out towards the larger global ocean. If the need was constructed, it would affect...
right there where that line goes through. Hold on. All right, I am back. Real reaction videos, guys, unedited, uncut, right there. Oh, sorry, apologize. I had to go take care of something real quick. Oh, wait, where are we at?
Actively check Russian naval ambitions in the ocean. If the need only paths to trade and naval expansion.
Yeah, see, they could put a dam like right through there, so that the naval fleet could get out, I think.
The larger global ocean. If the need was constructed, it would effectively check Russian naval ambitions and block them inside of the Baltic, leaving only the Black Sea as Russia's sole year-round access into the world's oceans. So they wouldn't be happy, and neither would international trade either. If the dams were constructed without any entrances or exits, then global trade would take a massive...
They would just have to put locks on it like the Suez Canal. Or the Panama Canal, I think it is. Panama's the one with the locks. Yeah, they could just do something like that.
If the dams were constructed without any entrances or exits, then global trade would take
a lot of cars.
Massive hit. Out of the top 10 busiest cargo ports in Europe, 7 of them would all be located within the confines of the need. Rotterdam.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rotterdam, I believe, is the busiest port in Europe.
Antwerp, Hamburg, Amsterdam, Bremerhaven, Primorsk, and Le Havre. All of these ports combined make the English Channel the single busiest shipping route anywhere in the world, and the closure of it would almost certainly crash the entire European economy. So there's gonna need to be a way to get these ships out and back in so that the spice continues to flow. Finally, there's also the minor problem of the North Sea, Channel, and Baltic gradually turning into the world's biggest freshwater sea. Water circulation from the outside ocean would be obviously restricted from entering, whereas freshwater discharge from rivers like the Rhine, the Meuse, the Thames, and dozens of others would just keep flowing in. So over time, the body of water inside of the need would gradually turn into fresh water, and who knows what kind of catastrophic environmental problems that might end up having. In short, the authors of the Need paper do not intend that the construction of the dam should be the solution to global climate change. Rather, they published it as a warning to us all of the radical solutions the world might one day require if we don't fix the problem right now in the present. Perhaps one day in the future, we might end up needing to use the plan, and we'll have to learn the proper engineering abilities and skills required to build it by then. Normally, acquiring new skills requires...
Couldn't we just pump all the water into like the deserts? Like the places that don't have much water?
There's a lot of commitment, both in time and money, but Skillshare breaks those
barriers. Well, there you guys go. That was it. Go check out their channel. Check out Skillshare if that's what you're into. Support the original creator. The link will be in the description section down below. And if you want to donate to the channel, support the channel, you'll get a guaranteed reaction. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to jump up out of here. I will see you guys in the next video. And I already know you're going to be there because this is like the best place on YouTube for real, genuine reaction videos. So take care, guys.